Christchurch Coastal Pathway, Scott Babington. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you to the Mayor and Councillors for allowing me to have an oral submission. So I'm Scott Babington, I'm the Chair of the Christchurch Coastal Pathway, which, as you're aware, is cooperating with the Christchurch City Council on building a 6.5 kilometre pathway from Ferrymead Bridge out to and including the Sumner Esplanade. And we have a memorandum of understanding to that effect. Now, this is a $30 million project. The council very kindly and generously funded that to the tune of $9.9 million 5 years ago, which actually accrued some interest up to 11.4, but we have about 5.8 million of that left, which unfortunately is going to largely be spent building the upcoming Peacocks section to Memorial Walkway. So that's the area that goes from Rapanui Corner past Sumner Surf Club and joins up with the Sumner Esplanade at Sumner. So we're seeking $10 to $12 million on the long-term plan to complete what we call the gap. The gap is around Monks Bay, so if you're familiar with the area, it goes from Tram Stop, which is just by Barnett Park, around past Christchurch Yacht Club, past the just been constructed rowing shed to Rapanui Corner, and this is the last section to complete the pathway. However, without this section, really it makes the rest of the pathway less useful because we have two ends. I'm sure that the new end that's just about to be built from Peacock's Corner is going to be well used, but really the benefit's going to come when the whole thing is completed. The benefits, at the moment there is a big safety risk. You will have seen that in both the press and the Bay Harbour News about the risk to pedestrians and other users of the pathway going past the Monks Bay section. That section facing west, if you can imagine, just past the rowing club shed that's currently being built, is very narrow. There's a hard edge to the pathway which is at risk in different areas, and I'm surprised that someone hasn't fallen into the estuary. Sadly, you will be aware of two accidents at that area, one of which had a tragic loss of life, although there's now been a safety barrier put at Rapanui Corner to prevent something similar happening again. Other benefits of the pathway, really it's benefit to locals. I think it gives place for locals to get out, to teach their kids how to cycle safely, to walk, to enjoy the environment. To the visitors, for those locals and both international visitors, we're seeing more and more particularly Asian visitors coming out and enjoying this area, so I really think it has a lot of visitor attractions. We've been partnering with Christchurch NZ with that regard. And I think that this has the benefit to complement and be equal to the Botanic Gardens in, if you want to think of the benefits to the region. Also, something like the Coastal Pathway gives stickiness to visitors. So by using the Coastal Pathway, it will take you half a day if you travel from in town, perhaps as a conference delegate or as a visitor to the city. If you travel out and then decide to have a meal, for example, at Sumner, you are then obliged to stay at the town. So this has real perceivable benefits, and we can deliver on this. Also, we link nicely with other attractions such as the cycle park, so that might be for the more fit members of a family, and then the other members, perhaps with kids, might go and do the cycleway so that all of the family can cycle while they're visiting Christchurch. So a beautiful link in there. We also link walking-wise with the Christchurch 360 pathway. We link with all the Port Hills pathways. It's a great introduction to that area, but if you're not fit enough to be clambering up the hills, then you've got a nice, safe pathway for all abilities. This includes people with mobility impairment. We have paraplegic parkways, parking spots being installed with ramps. It's a nice hard surface suitable for wheelchairs and other mobility devices. So it really delivers for these people as well, possibly more so than any other area around Christchurch. Also, this gives us the potential to do other activities in the future. We know the success of the Bondi to Bronte sculpture display at Sydney. We could do something similar out in this area. it could become a major annual attraction. We have the Sumner the city to surf, that sort of thing could go out along there. We have the Sumner Starter that ends on the coastal pathway. So lots of events are using it already. Completing the pathway will enable more events to be used, and certainly we're very keen to help run those. Also, it delivers benefits of cleaning the estuary. The swales that have gone along the side of the road are taking and treating the stormwater without runoff directly into the estuary. This is a major benefit to Ngaitahu and to other Christchurch residents. And we have been able to restore native plantings. We're using native planting along the whole 6.5 kilometre route. One area just opposite Redcliffs Park has shown the attractiveness, both in benefit to bird life and to pathway users, of a complete native planting. Other benefits that are coming up already, people are stopping at cafes, so using the pathway and stopping off. We can see bike hire and bike repair shops happening along the pathway, people choosing to stay along the pathway in boutique motels, hotels. I'm afraid to say Airbnb, I realise might be slightly controversial, but there are lots of tourism opportunities, and I can see that tourism operators will also bring people out to the pathway. So the funding, we're seeking $10 to $12 million for completion of the Monks Bay section of the pathway. The reason that this is a variable number is that we don't have a firm estimate to give to you today, and it's going to take a year or so to get the detailed plan to enable the detailed QS to actually tell us this. Even with all of that effort, the proper price is going to be the tender price of the person that builds this section. So it's never going to be more accurately able to be predicted. But I am confident that we can build it for that sort of region. If we funded it to 12 million and returned you $2 to $3 million of money, I would think that that was a good thing to do. What are we doing as a Coastal Pathway Committee? We are seeking other forms of funding. We've applied for a substantial amount of funding for the current section that is about to be built. We haven't heard from that. We will hear mid-June, so hopefully that will be forthcoming and potentially could contribute 10% of the total cost of the pathway. So I am reminded with the sign behind the Mayor, Christchurch Top Cycling Town 2017, the Coastal Pathway contributes to this. Let's keep it a top cycling town and give visitors another reason to come to Christchurch and stay in Christchurch.
Thank you. Sarah?
Thanks, Scott. Just to clarify, the work that you're doing is done with the council.
Yes.
And so when you say we're asking for this money, it's actually money that you want put on council's budget for council to do work. It's not money that's going to another organisation.
No. So this will be a Christchurch-owned asset, and it's been built by the Christchurch City Council. So the tendering and the building process is supervised by Christchurch City Council.
Yeah. And the Christchurch, the Coastal Pathway Group are funding all of the extras.
The enhancements.
So all of the swales, all of the extra plantings and those
That's
kind of
right.
things.
Different services, seats, water fountains, crossing points over Sumner Esplanade, all those enhancements basically above the basic pathway.
Yeah, but this is if you like, a council-built pathway with a community-enhanced amenity.
Yes.
Yep.
And really, I think this has been a new form of cooperation with the council. I think there's been lots of lessons learnt from this, but I do think that this is a great way of working with the council, and I'd like to see more of this in the future.
Thanks.
Phil?
Thank you, Scott. We're looking with the NZTA as how we sort of restructure some of the cycling funding.
Yes.
But I'm just wondering, with the government's current recreational cycleway fund, have you applied for that previously?
Yes, we have, and we just missed out last time when we applied for the Cycleways funding. We are talking with central government as well. So although we seek the total amount, the $12 million, I would hope that we will be able to return a significant amount of that because we have got other funding to build the base pathway.
Thanks,
Aaron, look, honestly, it's not fair if people can't. Yeah.
Just the distance that this 10 to 12 million's needed for. What's,
Yes.
do you know that
It's
exactly?
a very short distance. It's
Yeah.
only about 0.8 of a kilometre.
But
0.8?
that's what I've been looking for on the map. It's a really tricky area. I mean, incredibly narrow. It's right up hard against a seawall, which people on the other side look at jealously. But if they look at the implications of having a hard up seawall, they might see that it's perhaps not always the best solution.
There will be some mitigation for future sea level rise, storm damage, that sort of thing as
That's right.
part of the build. So there are other benefits as well.
Yeah, yeah. Look, thank you very much. It is a very challenging part of that particular proposal, but thank you very.
Exciting part as well.
It is a very
Huge
exciting.
for us
The
if
whole
it's built.
process is pretty exciting itself. So thank you very much for what
Thank you
you're
much.
doing.
Welcome.
Thank you.